We have been hearing from elected officials, both city, state, parish leaders. The President of the United States talked about what happened today here in New Orleans, and we also want to hear from our own Steve Scalise. He's joining us now via Zoom. Congressman Scalise, thanks for being with us. You know, I can't imagine what it's been like in Washington. What can you tell us about what you know about this investigation? Obviously, this is a terrorist incident and federal authorities deeply involved.
Yeah, Katie, Devin, you know, we are still getting information, but we know there's 4 suspects still at large. Obviously, you want them apprehended quickly. The Department of Justice and the FBI are running point on this. So, you know, we need to make sure all of the agencies, federal, state, and local, have all the tools they need to investigate this and to make sure that there are no other attacks. Obviously, you know, with the IEDs scattered throughout the city, they've been finding those. You want to make sure that they all get picked up as well. And look, I mean, you know, we've been through so much in New Orleans. We're resilient people, but it's still a deep tragedy, and your prayers go out to the families, to the people we lost, to those that are fighting for their life, the brave police officers who they run to danger. I mean, I've seen it over and over again, you know, and I'm glad to hear they're recovering, but you know, you don't know on any given day how that day is going to turn out for a police officer, but they're the ones that run towards the danger to prevent even further loss.
We're certainly feeling all of this in New Orleans, the weight of all of this, and we know that the eyes of the world are on New Orleans. Congressman, we've got so many big events right on our doorstep, global headline-making events. What are your thoughts on the perception of safety here in New Orleans and over the next few months?
You know, a Super Bowl is always designated as a high threat, you know, event and all hands on deck for the nation. It's a homeland security event where you get a lot of federal resources. You know, Mardi Gras, we always know, you know, you're bringing over 1 million people into the city, and nobody manages those large crowds better than New Orleans. But now you have this added element of terrorism, and it just means you've got to be on an even higher level of alert. And that also means for citizens, if you see something suspicious, to be quick to alert authorities if you do see something. And you know, hopefully this is the end of it, but you've got to expect that there could be other attacks, and just always be on alert.
Congressman, have you heard from the FBI or any other law enforcement about whether or not they've confirmed if this suspect had real ties to ISIS?
No, you know, and initially the FBI said it was not a terror attack, which is a little alarming considering it turned out it was. And, you know, he's got an ISIS flag in the truck. I just hope that let's get facts out there. Let's be candid with the public and get the facts out as quickly as they're known.
And so do you know if they've confirmed that yet, or is there anything that you can tell us about that? And what are the national security implications for that?
Yeah. Well, it appears that way. I mean, you look at what just happened over in Las Vegas in front of the Trump Hotel. You know, there's reports that both the truck in New Orleans and the Tesla Cybertruck were both rented from the same app. So, you know, were those related? It's possible they were. And, you know, are there other events being planned? This is why you've got to always have a strong vigilance at the federal level. The Department of Homeland Security, you know, their focus really, I thought, veered a little bit away from what their main mission should be. They need to get back on that, of protecting the homeland of the people.
Are you going to be asking those questions? Were there intelligence failures here?
Clearly. I mean, there's some serious questions that have to be answered. You know, we've been raising a lot of these for over a year. We've been saying, you know, with an open southern border, and not that we don't necessarily know that this was directly tied. The truck supposedly came across the southern border, but you know, you've got people on the terrorist watch list that have come over in droves into our country, and it's, you know, it just appears it's only a matter of time before you do have attacks carried out. And so, you know, that level of vigilance needs to be high and continued.
And what are you hoping happens with federal investigators at this point? Like, do you think that there is enough urgency in what they're doing right now?
Well, we're going to be seeing in the days ahead. I sure going to be asking a lot of tough questions. I'm sure a lot of people will be. The chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Mark Green's coming into town tomorrow. He wants to see some things on the ground. We're going to be, looking at possibly doing an investigation in Congress on this. So, there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered. And again, making sure that these agencies at the federal level especially have their focus on the ball. A lot of us think that they've lost their main focus in these last few years, and it's got to change.
I believe the city got federal funding to install these bollards when they were first put in. Any thoughts on that part of this and the fact that, they're having to redo them right now, and that, the timing of this, and that, we're so close to the Super Bowl and we have all these major events, and the security feature that was put in using federal dollars may have, unfortunately not been in place for this incident?
Well, surely those questions are going to be asked. They already are. Why did the bollards fail? Governor Landry was very clear. We're going to fix it. It's got to get fixed. You've got the Super Bowl coming up. You've got other major events as well. But, why did something that was recently installed fail so miserably and so fatally? It's a serious question, like many others that will be asked. Okay.
And any parting thoughts that you want to share? This is a very raw community. We understand that there are, more than an hour-long lines at blood banks and people wanting to lend a hand in this situation. As how amazing this community is. Any parting thoughts for them?
Yeah, New Orleans, we're a strong people. We've been through, unfortunately, more tragedies than most. We've been tested time and time again, and we always bounce back. But it doesn't ease the suffering anymore for those who've lost loved ones. So let's keep them in our prayers. I'm glad to see that blood banks are being inundated with people, because they're going to need I'm sure there's a severe blood shortage from an event like this. Let's just all stay vigilant and keep all of those in our prayers, including those 2 officers who are recovered.
I guess just one last question. I always have one last question, but how concerned should people be about the fact that there are still possibly some other suspects out there? Should we feel secure at this point?
Well, you always want to be vigilant, and that's why you have an increased law enforcement presence. Again, not just local law enforcement, state law enforcement, but you've got the federal agencies now involved as well. And I'm sure that manhunt's going to be very intensified for the 4 that are still at large.
All right, Congressman Steve Scalise, thank you so much for joining us, for answering our questions. We appreciate it.
Yes, very much.
God bless. Y'all take care.
Thank you.